In 1942, Victor and his wife Tilly were sent to live in a ghetto in northern Prague. While life had changed significantly for them, thanks to their Jewish faith, it was nothing compared to how it would change within the next 2 years. In 1944, Victor and his wife and mother were loaded onto trains and sent to Birkenau concentration camp. Immediately, Tilly was taken to another camp, and his mother, because of her old age, was taken to the gas chambers. Victor wouldn't stay in Birkenau long, as he was soon selected for transfer to a labor camp. As if Birkenau wasn't bad enough, Victor was soon moved to the dreaded Dachau prison. Within the confines of the prison, the Nazi guards tried to strip every ounce of humanity from Victor. He and the other prisoners lost everything. Their names were replaced by numbers. Their heads were shorn, their shoes were replaced with hard wooden clogs. They were given sleeping arrangements that included wooden bunks, ragged blankets, and extremely close quarters. Surviving in the frigid landscape was hard enough, but the conditions, lack of food, water, shelter, and the elements made survival much more difficult. During his time at Dachau, Victor also contracted typhoid fever, a disease that would be a mark of death for many. But Victor was determined not to let the Nazis win. Victor's determination to maintain his humanity led him to find a new branch of psychology, one he called logotherapy. Victor was a psychologist prior to his internment, and he used his knowledge to find a way to survive, to help others to do so as well. Victor determined that, while it is impossible to avoid suffering in life, it is possible to cope with it and to find meaning in that suffering. After the Allies liberated the prisons, Viktor Frankl penned the book Man's Search for Meaning. Within a decade, it became a worldwide best-selling book. Suffering, it's unavoidable, but what can you do to persevere? The answer lies with a saint. Pope St. John Paul II was a pope for the ages. He traveled all over the world and was very active in his papacy. He even started a worldwide movement for young adults called World Youth Day. Serving as the Bishop of Rome beginning in 1978, Pope John Paul II sat in the chair of Peter for 27 years. During his time as Pope, John Paul II aged before our eyes. He suffered 2 assassination attempts, and he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. While there were cries from the media and some church officials that he should resign due to his failing health, the Pope refused. Pope John Paul II wanted the world to see him suffer and decline in health, simply to show them how to suffer with grace. He dedicated his suffering and declining health to the church and the poor, and used his public profile as a way to show how those in declining health and aging can still be a beacon of the love of God. As St. Augustine tells us, God had but one Son without sin, but never one without suffering. While our suffering may seem personal and cause us to close out the world, it is a reminder that God knows our pain, experienced our suffering, and is there to show us the good that can come from it. Pope St. John Paul II was a modern example of bringing purpose to suffering, and just as Viktor Frankl, he helped to lead us to find meaning in that suffering. In the pain of the cross, Jesus freed us from sin. In the confines of a concentration camp, Viktor Frankl helped us to find a way to find joy and meaning in our suffering. And on televisions around the world, Pope St. John Paul II showed us how to offer our suffering in prayer and full of grace.